So Bullet Train was directed by David Leitch and it stars Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Joey King, Brian Tyree Henry, Sandra Bullock. That's in the trailers. That's not really a spoiler or anything. And it's about a hitman played by Brad Pitt who has to get on a bullet train in Japan for just a quick mission, just an easy grab and go kind of mission. He has to find a briefcase. And as it turns out, there are a bunch of people on the train who may have connections to him, and they all realize they're on this train for a very specific reason. So this was a movie that looked interesting enough. The trailers looked kind of fun. It didn't necessarily look like the greatest movie ever made, but it looked like it could have been a fun time overall. So I saw this movie back in August, and I wanted to see it again before this review because, admittedly, I kind of been away for a bit, and I just been too tired to really do reviews lately. So I went and saw this again, and honestly, this movie is a whole lot of fun, and I'm glad I saw it a second time. This movie is a blast from beginning to end. The action's great, the performances are great, it's really funny throughout, and I'm just really glad that I saw this movie. So what works? Well, the acting's pretty good for the most part. Brad Pitt, I thought he was really good, also really funny in this movie. Brad Pitt's a really funny person. He should do comedy more often. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who usually I'm not a big fan of. I haven't really seen him do much that I thought was really good. He was really good. He had a really great relationship with Brian Tyree Henry, who I thought was really good in this movie. He has this running joke that I thought was absolutely hilarious throughout the entire movie about Thomas the Tank Engine. That was pretty funny. Joey King is kind of one of the main villains in this movie. I thought she was really good in the movie. Well, I'll talk about that later in my negatives. As far as other performances go, Andrew Koji, who he's also on this train, he was really good. Haruyuki Sanada, I thought he was really good. Also, Bad Bunny was also surprisingly good in this movie, too. I didn't expect him to really do much in this movie, but for what he was given, I thought he did a really good job in this movie. And on top of that, this movie is just hilarious. There were so many times in this movie where I was just laughing, whether it's just a line of dialogue or a situation. I thought it was just really funny. I thought it was funnier than a lot of comedies that have come out this year, which is very fascinating to me. And I kind of like the fusion of different styles of directors in this movie. I kind of got fusions of people like Quentin Tarantino and Edgar Wright a bit, kind of fused them together to make this movie, which I thought was really fun. I kind of thought it blended both of their styles really well. Also, the score and soundtrack I thought were really fun. They were really fun to listen to. Also, the fight scenes in this movie are mostly fun. Some are admittedly better than others, but there's one like towards the end which I thought was kind of too CGI-ish, and it just kind of took away from the movie a bit. But the fight between Brad Pitt and Bad Bunny I thought was really good. And also, there's just a lot of surprises in this movie. Considering this movie's been out for a month, I figured you know what the surprises are. But there were a lot of surprises in this movie that I was just caught off guard by, like whether it's like an appearance by someone or just like how the story unfolds. I thought overall this movie was a lot of fun, but that doesn't mean I don't have issues with this movie. There are a couple things I don't like. One, there's some character work that I feel like just wasn't that great. Joey King, as good as her performance is, I also don't really like the way her character was written. I feel like it was just kind of... I didn't think her character was really that well written, honestly. Also, I was kind of underwhelmed by some of the performances, mainly Bad Bunny, who's kind of just thrown in there. Zazie Beetz' character, she's just kind of thrown in there. Also, Masaoka, which was very disappointing. I thought he should have done more. Karen Fukuhara from The Boys should have done more. They are just relegated to not even like supporting characters, just people who just appear in this movie, and I thought that was kind of disappointing. Also, but they can at least take solace that none of those people are the worst performers in this movie. That would go to Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon is a little bit too over the top in this movie. I thought he was really bad. I thought his performance was probably the worst in this movie, to be honest. Also, I didn't really care too much about the actual train. I don't know. Like, I feel like they kind of should have used the train a lot more in this movie. Like, oh, here's how we'll use this part of the train for this scene, and how we'll use this for this scene, and just all that. And I just felt like the train itself wasn't really interesting. None of the rooms were really that interesting. I feel like they should have done a little bit more with that. And also, I didn't really care for a lot of the narrative shifts in this movie. It kind of takes away from some of the action in this movie. Like, oh, we're about to do this action scene, but then it just cuts to this other subplot in this movie. And it kind of just took away a lot from the action. So when it comes back to the action, it's like, oh, right, I gotta get back into this. Oh, well. And admittedly, there are a couple pacing issues. The movie is 2 hours with credits. But I feel like it could have tightened it up a little bit, make it like, I don't know, an hour 40, hour 50 maybe. Part of me is like thinking, they could have cut a little bit out of this, but I'm also thinking, I don't know where to cut from this movie. But overall, Bullet Train, it was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. My gripes about this movie are mostly just nitpicks, to be honest. But that doesn't take away from, the fun of this movie. This movie is just a blast from beginning to end. Performances are really good. The action's fun. The fusion of people like Quentin Tarantino and Edgar Wright is great. The soundtrack's great. And it's really fun. Just don't think too hard about it. So, I will give Bullet Train 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what's your favorite movie about a hitman? Comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.